Krishna, Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayana Namaskrityam.
Narayana Namaskrityam.
Naram Chai altogether. Naram
Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Namaste Bhagaveshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishaki.
recited Krishna's Bhagavatam.
Which is the very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasudeva the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose grace transcends songs, is established at the irrevocable fact.
Hare Krishna, devotees, good morning. We are at the new chapter of the second canto. Do you like the title of the chapter? The previous one was the Lord in the heart. So when the Lord comes in the heart, there's something that happens. So change of heart. And there's that famous, actually, it's the whole album by Mangalananda Guru, Change of Heart. Next year is going to be the 50th anniversary since that album was released. Are you all familiar? Change of Heart?
No. I got a signed copy upstairs.
Oh, you have a signed copy upstairs? Okay. There's that beautiful song, The Butterfly, from the form,
Caterpillar.
from caterpillar to butterfly. That dramaturgy likes very much the play. Would you like to be reminded? Let's be reminded of that.
Yeah.
So search Mangalananda. It's very beautiful. How many of you have heard it? Just one, okay, but definitely have to play it because it's one of my favorite. And we can meditate. I hope to actually make it change of heart, Mangalananda. Michael Cassidy. You can try Michael Cassidy also. Huh? No, but change of heart. Change of heart, Michael Cassidy or Mangalananda. I'm really hoping, yeah, there you go. I'm really hoping maybe here at the university auditorium, we can have a nice concert honoring that 50th anniversary. Because as you saw it for the, what was it called, music, that concert that they had at their house recently, music of the heart or something like that. With many performers were there, and Mangalananda was there with his band. You saw the quality was quite amazing, and he also came here. How many of you were here when he was performing? No, you missed out. That was beautiful also. You were there, right? It's so nice. All of his songs are very, very devotional. The language and poetry he uses is very universal. It's neutral, so it's applicable. And I think many Christians will appreciate that big auditorium concert. Yay! I hope to bring many. Because okay, let's do it. I hope the volume is up.
A caterpillar changed his mind and woke to find himself confined. His old self had to die, and for him to be a butterfly. He tired of walking on the ground, so around himself and wound. His green silken strands, pale untouched. And something subtle changed within, reflected by his changing skin. He had a change of heart and wished to play another part. And if he could, then so could I. I want to free my mind, rise beyond the waves of time. Beyond this burning dark abyss, up to that land of love and bliss, where grows a flower sweet, which grows both to speak.
It's a love song of butterfly. Perhaps you like
This.
So nice.
you can clap if you like. So if he can do it, so can I, right? Remember that? It's very, very beautiful and beautiful poetry, the language used. There's a book, it's called Vedanta for the West. You've heard of that one? Anyway, in that book, there was an experiment that they did with cocoon, or the caterpillar, was in the process of becoming a butterfly. There were two of them. So one, it was in a cocoon, and it's called chrysalis. There's a process that's going on. There's a process of transformation. There's a lot of cooking inside. Because this completely new transformed being that's about to happen. So in one, and struggle, cooking and struggle that it's going in that cocoon. So in one cocoon, the scientists, they wanted to help. So they cooked the boat. The other one, they left it as it is. So when the process finished and both butterflies came out, one was able to fly and the other one wasn't. Which one wasn't able to fly? The one with the hole. Why is that?
Wasn't.
Yeah. One with the hole? Are you sure? Why is that?
Because it has to go
Can
through
you
that
can you use
struggle.
the microphone?
Because the butterfly has to go through that process and struggles and makes that goal to come out of there to be the butterfly.
Yes, the struggle, the cooking, all that pounding against the membrane and all that moving, it develops the muscles or whatever in butterfly's case is needed for them to later fly. And when I say fly and I look at Namamrita, I think, oh, how appropriate with speaking about butterflies. Namamrita is here with us this morning. Thank you for blessing us. For those of you who don't know Namamrita, it's a son of Yogeshwara Guru, who I feel indebted so much for his service to Srila Prabhupada. And a wonderful book is written, Swami in a Strange Land. I know you read the Swami in a Strange Land. If you didn't, I highly recommend. Also, I like the way the Yogeshwara. There's many ways to write. There's many ways to express. Very much so. Admire his language and choice of words that is glorifying Prabhupada. And Namamrita is also a pilot. So he can relate to the butterfly example. and how much struggle it takes to get that license. Right? A lot of pounding, a lot of moving. But everybody can fly, right? You can't just go and grab the wheel. Now I'm going to fly. There's a certain process to follow. So poking a hole or using a cheat sheet does not guarantee a good flight or flight at all. So we welcome our struggles. In this chapter, pure devotional service, a change of heart. We'll see more of Shukadeva Goswami pointing out. And this first section that we're going to cover to the verse 12, I believe, Prabhupada lectured in Los Angeles. I think almost all of those verses. Definitely on the verse we're going to cover today. 2, 3, 10. And I hope that we can actually cover some of that excerpt. Yes,
Numbers, the chapter numbers.
it's 2, 3, 10.
Thank you.
I mean, yes.
2, 3.
Huh?
Canto 3.
Yeah. So let's start with reading the verses, then we're going to go and cover number 10 when we come. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, as long as you have inquired from me as to the duty of the intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you.
One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma, or Brahaspati, the learned priest. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra, and one who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors called the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship fire, and one who aspires only after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stock of grain should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planet should worship the sons of Aditi.
Wait, this is the purport?
Verses 2 through 7.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Speaking about cheat sheets, how do you like this? Yeah, if you want this, we got a cheat sheet for that. So you can really do the shortcuts, not struggle as much. Yeah, go ahead.
One who desires the worthy kingdom should worship Vishvadev, and one who wants to be popular with the general mass of population should worship the sun demigod. One who desires a long lifespan should worship the demigods known as the Ashwini Kumaras, and a person desiring a strongly built body should worship the earth. One who desires stability in his soul should worship the horizon and the earth combined. One who desires to be beautiful should worship the beautiful residents of the Gandharva planet. And one who desires a good wife should worship the Apsaras and the Urvasi society girls of the heavenly kingdom. One who desires domination over others should worship Lord Brahma, the head of the universe. One who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead. And one who desires a good bank balance should worship the demigod Varuna. If one desires to be a greatly learned man, he should worship Lord Shiva. And if one desires a good marital relation, he should worship the chief goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva.
Wow, what a section. Anybody intrigued to start some nice pujas?
I'm gonna Google how to worship Varuna.
What's the issue with all these types of worship besides Gopal? Yeah. Microphone. What is the problem? Although it's very alluring, very kind of nice to have a cheat sheet. Just go for it. What is the issue?
Well, what I was thinking when I read the verse for the first time and came back to it now is that, well, the demigods, if you worship them, they'll give you what you want. But when you worship Krishna, he gives you what you need so that you can go back to Godhead. But the demigod won't care about whether that gives you back to Godhead.
Mm-hmm. Ever heard of spoiled kid? How does that happen? This kid is so spoiled. How does that happen?
The parents give everything to them?
Yeah, they give them what they want, not what they need. So, and they never reach the point of satisfaction. It's never enough. That's the nature of greed. More, it's like pouring the oil on fire, trying to extinguish the fire, but that's not how you do it. But just pouring more and more. And so with greed, it's the nature of it, it's never enough. It's such a nice example that illustrates this, the nature of greed and the nature of satisfaction, because everybody wants to be satisfied. But the way to do it is just like with everything else, there's a way to do it. So satisfaction is not something that, it's a matter of external adjustment. You know, if I just get that right T-shirt, then by the way, that's a great T-shirt.
Honor of you, Prabhu.
That's great.
That's where I first met Prabhu, is the Second Avenue.
26 Second Avenue, place where everything started. I still have a key of that lock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I gave it to my dad, and he wears it with great pride, like a badge,
Wow.
but not in his pocket, hidden somewhere. Anyway, yeah, satisfaction is not a matter of external adjustments. It's a inside job. So either you connect with the source of all satisfaction, all the pleasure. Who is the source of all pleasure? Krishna. And what is it? Out of many names Krishna has, what is one of his names? Govinda. Yes, he can fully satisfy all of our yearnings and longings. So I was walking in my first way to India, first time, 2008. I stopped by Croatia, did my visa, and I went to, for the first time, to Sridham Mayapur Dham. So there's a river there, Jalangi, beautiful. I like it even better than Ganga. And just there, Jalangi enters Ganga. And a little before, there's a pathway when you go to Jagannath Temple in Mayapur, which is a beautiful section of that holy land. Beautiful worship. Jagannath there gets same amount of offerings that Jagannath gets in Jagannath Puri. So the Raj Bhoga there is very opulent. If you ever want to have a nice prasad of Jagannath, you go there. So I was waiting for lunch, but there's one thing better than lunch is taking a bath before lunch. So I went to Jalangi to take a dip. Advaita Acharya was there, and they were playing water. But on my way back, and this is the reason I'm sharing, there's something like really amazing that happened. It kind of just opened my eyes to the nature of satisfaction. I was walking, and there's many villages, but when you go from Jalangi to Jagannath Temple, you walk through one of them. Simple houses, very simple huts with mud, and straw, roofs, trees, flowers, very simple life. And there was a mother, I guess, polishing the floor on outside on her veranda. And the way to really clean the floor and make it new, brand new, is you just need a bucket with water and just a little something to smear it. So she was just doing that, renewing her floor. And the kid, her child, it was shaved head, so I couldn't tell it was a boy or a girl. It was sitting underneath a tree. And I didn't stop. Everything happened in like maybe 30 steps. It was like this, like a movie clip. I was looking and I was walking, slow pace. And I saw how she was busy with her job. And then the child who was sitting under the tree became restless. She picked up immediately, stopped what she was doing, walked towards the child who was underneath the tree, broke one of the twigs, and the way she handed that twig to the child, that exchange, and the way the child looked up, in sheltering the mother. It was so surcharged, like so thick. It was like dripping with all that we expect in that kind of relationship. When the moment the child received that twig, that restlessness, whatever was there, was like gone. Immediately became absorbed in the twig as a toy of the day that will probably remain absorbed for the rest of the day, or maybe afternoon. And the mother was back to her duties, and the child was just playing with it. And I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. And then I was reflecting after I, marched on to get the lunch shop. And I was reflecting, comparing that to, our scenes from Walmart during what is the big shopping Black Friday, and a bunch of kids throwing tantrums, rolling on the ground. They were rolling on the ground, not out of ecstasy. Like, yay, I got my PlayStation. I got my this, I got my that. No, I got that and I want more. Never enough. So just to compare, it's a problem. It's a problem. Gopal said it's temporary, and it doesn't really. There's another problem besides being temporary. What is another problem of the Krishna certifies this world temporary and miserable? Yes, it's miserable to seek satisfaction by external adjustments, because there's only a single adjustment that is required, and that's adjustment from within. Once you do that, once you change your consciousness, guess what? Boom, everything changes. Consciousness creates reality. And Krishna consciousness in particular that we are interested in, what would that be? What would Krishna consciousness be? That is the way to see the world, to try to see the world the way Krishna sees it. How does Krishna see the world? What is the feeling that Krishna has for everything and everyone? Love, huh? Compassion. Yes. What about kindness, love? Krishna has that in an unconditional way is expressing that even to those who are inimical. So that's the problem. It's temporary. It's limited, and it's not compatible. So therefore, it brings misery. Remember, we are not humans with spiritual experiences. We are spirit souls with temporary human experiences. So once you make that shift, life turns to be more manageable. We focus on things that matter. So just a little remark about cheat sheets. So we can continue. Who's next?
One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotees for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of the dynasty. One should worship the various demigods.
One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manas. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yay! Finally.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead.
That's our verse for today, but we'll have two more. We'll have two more, all the way to 12.
All different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfection of benediction, which is spontaneous attraction, unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord.
Krishna is never alone. He comes in a package of devotees. As a matter of fact, the devotees that carry Krishna in their hearts, and that's how we receive that mercy.
Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment. And being transcendental, it is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted?
Who could fail to be attracted? It will be a most unfortunate thing to fail to be attracted to such a personality. They can free one from material attachment. Okay, let's go back to our verse today. Akama sarva kamava.
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 Moksha kama udharati.
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 Tivrena bhakti yogena.
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 Yajita purusham param.
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 Atma sarva kamova.
Akama sarva kamava.
Moksha kama udardi.
Moksha kama udharati.
Divina bhakti yogina.
Tivrena bhakti yogena.
Yaja purusham param.
Yajita purusham param.
Akama sarva kamava.
Akama sarva
Shakama udadati.
Moksha kama udharati.
Tivrena bhakti yogena.
Tivrena bhakti yogena.
Yajita purusham param.
Yajita purusham param.
Akama sarva kamova.
Akama sarva kamava.
Moksha kama udharati.
Moksha kama udharati.
Trivena bhakti yogena.
Trivena bhakti yogena.
Yajeta purusham param.
Yajita purusham param.
There's a famous verse. Didn't memorize it yet? Please do. And you'll see why. How kind Krishna is. Word by word, all together. Akama.
One who transcends all material desires.
Sarva kama. One who has sunk those of material desires. Svaha. Moksha kama. One who desires liberation. Udharati. With broader intelligence. Tivrena. With great force. Bhakti yogena. Devotional service to the Lord. Yajeta should worship. Purusham, the Lord. Param, the supreme whole. Translation, and then we need a volunteer for the prayer. A person who has broad intelligence, whether he be full of all material desires, without any material desire, or desiring liberation must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama, or the Supreme Personality. It is He only who can award liberation to the impersonalist by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahmajyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. The Brahmajyoti is not separate from the Lord, as a glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the Supreme Impersonal Brahmajyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga. As recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. In the previous chapter, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal by which Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of self-realization, is recommended. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from material bondage. Akama is one who has no material desires, a living being, naturally being part and parcel of the supreme whole, Purusham Purnam, has as its natural function to serve the supreme being. Just as the parts and parcels of the body or the limbs of the body are naturally meant to serve the complete body. Desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like a stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position and thus desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this desirelessness as Bhajanya Parama Purusha Sukha Matra Spa Sukha. It is Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. This intuition of the living being is sometimes manifested even during the conditioned stage of a living being in the material world. As such, intuition is expressed in the manner of altruism, philanthropy, socialism, communism, etc. By the undeveloped minds of the less intelligent persons in this mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Such superb feeling were exhibited by the damsels of Rajabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis love the Lord without any return, and this is the perfect exhibition of the Akamaha spirit. Kama spirit, or the desire for one's own satisfaction, is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of Akamaha is fully exhibited in the spiritual world.
Anybody else wants to say? Our friends?
Thoughts of becoming one with the Lord or being merged in the Brahmajyoti can also be exhibitions of Kama spirit if they are desires for one's own satisfaction to be free from the material miseries.
So this is moksha kama. So he covered sarva kama, akama, and now moksha kama, those who desire liberation. There's three types.
A pure devotee does not want liberation so that he may be relieved from the miseries of life. Even without so-called liberation, a pure devotee is aspirant for the satisfaction of the Lord. Influenced by the common spirit, Arjuna declined to fight in the Kurukshetra battlefield because he wanted to save his relatives for his own satisfaction. But being a pure devotee, he agreed to fight on the instruction of the Lord because he came to his senses and realized that satisfaction of the Lord at the cost of his own satisfaction was his prime duty. Thus he became Akama. That is a perfect stage of a perfect living being. Udaradi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desires for material enjoyment worship small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7:20 as Krita Dhyana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. One cannot obtain any result from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under the circumstances,
One with a broader outlook, even with the desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take to the worship of the Lord directly. And everyone, whether an Akama or Sakama or Mokshakama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. Thank you. This implies that Bhakti Yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana. As the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called Tivra, similarly, unmixed Bhakti Yoga, appearing, chanting, etc., may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motive.
Yeah, let's read that the last. As the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called Tivra, similarly, unmixed Bhakti Yoga is hearing, chanting, etc. What is etc. referring to? 9 processes of devotional service, yes, that are Shravana, Kirtana, Vishnu, Smarana. Okay. Who wants to volunteer? With the microphone, go ahead.
Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedam.
Atmanivedanam. At the end, we surrender everything. Atmanivedanam, we surrender everything. Those are the 9, but there are others also. There are others. Those are other subcategories, I would say. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, which is Padasevanam. This Sakyam, becoming friend. Yeah, everybody's looking for a friend, so become a friend with Krishna. At the end, we want to surrender everything. So all of those are performed with Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Tivra means with great force. You know, the sun is very powerful. But if it is, what is mixed sun ray? Mixed sun ray, it's some cloud, something that it's preventing. But when it's pure sun ray, and when it's also amplified, when it hits that magnifying glass, burn, right? You can burn things. Start a fire. You start a fire, you just take a magnifying glass. So that pure sun ray signifies the intensity. We have to perform all these 9 processes and many subcategories of those, many, infinite, with intensity. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. When we hear and chant, in the form of like a casual, have you heard of casual japa?
Really destructive japa?
Is there such a thing as casual japa?
I guess so.
I was just chanting. Yeah, there is such a thing, unfortunately. But and consequently, you get one result from casual japa. You get one result. But when it's done with intensity, and what is the intensity? Prabhupada mentions also another example of a child crying with its mother. So what is the intensity of a child? My oldest niece just got a kid, Mateo, little Mateo. So when he cried, the whole house knew it. Everybody knew it, like. So, or another intensity of, yeah. But here's a question. What would be the difference with genuine intensity, between genuine intensity and fanaticism, as we perform Tirena Bhakti Yogena, all these, with desires, and I'm sure we have many desires, without desires or desire for liberation. If you are in any of those categories, and I find myself in all three in different times, but mostly with a lot of desires in my heart, how do we perform a genuine intensity or intensely intense performance of devotional service, and it doesn't become fanatical? Because usually like intensity means, come on, let's go. Yes.
The way I think about it is that it's something that you just do, and when you do it, if it's non-fanatical, other people are attracted to do it on their own without having to be told or forced. But fanaticism is when you're like, okay, I'm doing this thing at this really high level, at this really high intensity, and you have to do it too. Otherwise, you're not a bhakti yoga, and you're gonna be animal in your next life, right? So that's a different type. There's a natural nature to an intensity that's coming from within, and there's an unnatural nature to an intensity that's forced upon others.
Yes. Yes. And that is definitely one of the differences. Strict with oneself, but very mild or lenient towards others. Yes. Oh.
One analogy that gets to mind when you mentioned the baby crying, we hear that the mother knows when the baby is crying sincerely and when it cries for attention. And cries for attention, it causes a disturbance. And so sometimes maybe the parent will give the child what it wants, even though, just out of pity or just because you want the child to be quiet. But sincerely crying out, then I imagine the parent breaks down, so comes down with the child.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a difference.
And a good parent can recognize.
Yeah.
By the pitch, by the tone. I heard. Yeah.
I think one thing that can help us avoid fanaticism is if we have an expert guide to help us figure out what's actually manageable for us to do, like making manageable sadhana expectations and because they understand us so well, the spiritual master, this expert guide that can help us, do these processes in a way that's, best for us, to our nature.
Mm-hmm. Being guided, yeah. One of the things that I found is that, the true Tivrena Bhakti Yogena is driven by love. The fanaticism is driven by ego. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, the intense performance of devotional service, is also inclusive. The fanatical approach to this quality is divisive. We can use the parameters to to be guided, because we can really get caught up in the whole thing, because it takes a lot of momentum. When the car gets stuck in the mud, you need that momentum. You need a lot of force. A couple of men, not just one. A couple of men need to develop that momentum to get out of it, out of the predicament. But in the process, we don't want to, break things or make things worse. So it needs guidance. It needs the momentum with the right mood and the right consciousness. Then it's successful. Did you have something?
But this, for me, it's a little bit confusing because Tivrena, how to have this Tivrena, which is motivated by love, at the same time, regardless, as Shakava says, regardless of inner motive. Because this inner motive can be polarity, it's not goes to neophyte stages, mainly it's not proper. So how can we expect to have Tivrena and have at the same time improper inner motives that are blocking us most of the time? So that's really a contradiction, and it's, we can see it's something that is unavoidable, and most practitioners meet with these obstacles.
Yeah.
So when we read this, it's kind of, okay, you have to practice Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, like this fixed, really pointed, focused, devotional sense. At the same time, you're troubled by your inner motives, which, which points you to other direction. So you know, like to actually somewhere in yourself seek the shelter of demigods. Maybe not because we are not born in India, we don't have this. We are not turning to demigods by, you know, like as demigods. But we desire those things that demigods provide. It's something that we will have to face in ourselves sooner or later. In the beginning stages, of course, we're so enthusiastic and it's, we don't see it, but later on, as practicing, we will see layers by layers of these. Desires is so deeply rooted.
Yeah.
You cannot avoid to face with that. So how to, you know, like how to really understand this part of purpose. So,
We understand in a way that it takes time. What Prabhupada said, 40 years of chanting, japa. It takes time, it's a process, and we trust the process. You know, 10 years back, we're not the same, and we're hoping 10 years from now there'll be some changes. So these are, we can call them growing pains. Remember the chrysalis, those are growing pains that we're going through. And everything, remember what Nitai said the other day, everything we're doing, we're doing poorly. We start somewhere. We start somewhere, and then, like I said, it will be layer after layer will be revealed to us. Of course, in the beginning, there's a Purity syndrome. We all had it, right? Yeah. We still carry that. But then reality sets in. Then we have to face when somebody comes and tells us, hey, this or that. Maybe I'm not so great. Yeah, reality sets in, and the truth will set us free. No matter how. My grandmother used to say, the truth is beautiful no matter how ugly it is. So, but it takes strength to look, to face that man in the mirror. Michael Jackson. I love these pop culture references. People know what they yeah, I didn't meant to end the plan, but I guess we should. We should. I just looked at the watch, so I don't get carried away. But it seems like you had more, maybe over breakfast.
I also have a question.
All right.
Just throw it out, I don't know.
Because you didn't get a chance, like 30 seconds?
Sure.
Half a minute.
It's just, this course and your practice, well, first of all, must be accompanied by proper understanding of that comes from knowledge, comes from reading Shastra and studying the Shastra properly. But at the same time, we can study the Shastra, but, well, actually, it's absolutely foolproof. If we understood the Shastra and we applied it in our life, to discover that it actually helps us in all fronts, in all regards. But I personally struggle with this aspect of disturbance, like because we're in the material world and material energy is very vicious right now, especially in Kali Yuga. Like we can have it might have established a nice understanding or good standing of consciousness earlier in the day, but then during the day you could just forget it, you know, and then fall back into Maya. does it just take time? Or is there some ways to help us, in those scenarios? Just internally surrender to the Lord at every moment?
Yeah,
Or do we
that's
try
what,
to force our mind back to the remembrance of?
yeah, that's the advice Krishna gave to Arjuna. From whatever place the mind wanders, one should bring it back. And, the moment you do that, the moment you notice and you do something about it, our destiny is changing. It's by small chip-aways. It's not by the single blow of the sledgehammer. The masterpiece of Michelangelo, it's not a single blow of a sledgehammer. It's small chip-aways, chip-away. And then it takes time. So bring it back. So every time you actually do that and you put an effort to bring it back, our destiny lines are shifting, they're changing. So, welcome to the Anartha Liberty Club.
Thank you.
Because that's what makes the difference between anishtita bhakti, which is unsteady devotion, to nishta. Nishta means steady. And steady going like this, up and up and up and up. But in the beginning, there's like big ups and downs, and then slowly diminishing that is. So it's like, and so that Anartha Liberty is the biggest chunk in a whole, from Shraddha to Prema, from faith to love of God. The biggest chunk is Anartha Liberty. What they say, the dark night of the soul. And that hence great need for support. Is our flagship of our Prabhupada's movement. It's encouragement and support. It's our trademark, because nobody goes and walks through it alone successfully. So we depend on each other. We depend on each other's mercy. Big topic that we can speak over any breakfast. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Fortunate persons developing in